So what percentage of students admit they've missed lectures after drinking too much? The answer is 51%. Cheers.
The other 49%, of course, were lying. At first, though, do university students need to clean up their act, or are drunken escapades, outrageous parties and stupidly dangerous games, pranks, all part of the fun of being an undergrad? Who can forget those hilarious Oxford students who blacked up for an African-themed rugby party, or the Bring a Fit Jew to Dinner party held by the same student club a week earlier? Cambridge has already moved to ban students from celebrating the annual Suicide Sunday Drinkathon after a 23-year-old student got drunk during a jelly wrestling competition and punched a spectator. Sorry. And they should be thankful that that's as bad as that got, because 3 students have died in the last 5 years alone from boozing. The thing that really worries people, I think, is initiation ceremonies, which have come under fire. Last year, undergrads at the University of Gloucestershire came under scrutiny after a video emerged showing freshers with plastic bags over their heads being marched through town by a man dressed as a Nazi. Prince Harry was unavailable for comment. Are students wilder today than they used to be? Are the authorities more puritanical? Liverpool University has banned cheap drinks promotions to reduce bad behaviour by students. And now the General Medical Council is warning student doctors that drunken antics and even messy rooms could lead to them getting a black mark against their name and ruin their careers. Don't forget, of course, 1 in 4 employers will check your Facebook page for signs of delinquency. So is a bit of outrageous behaviour part and parcel of student life? Do undergrads need to let off steam before spending the rest of their lives slaving for the government or wallowing on the dole queue? Have today's students simply pushed things to the limit, too far? Can't wait to hear what you've got to say, especially if you're in or about to go up to university. But first, the panel. Stephen?
Leave the students alone, that's what I say.
Because they all come to see you.
And
audience.
No, my demographic is a lot older than that. No, but I just think, obviously, there's some extremes of, you know, blacking up and bringing a Jew to a party. That was one particular...
Pretty Jew.
Well, yes, the pretty Jew, of course. And he just tied myself up there. That was one particular university fraction. Obviously, be sensible, but your first year, your fresh year in university, it's a time where you meet new people, you're experimenting with different things, you're finding your feet. My first year in university, I don't really remember it, to be honest, but it was the second 2 years where you knuckle down and get some hard work done. It's all about, you know, because once you get into the world of working, you don't have time to play and mess about anymore. And let's not forget, these are the most important years of your life.
3 people dead in 5 years from drinking games. Doesn't say much for their intellect, does it?
Well, of course not, but that's 3 people in how many students going to university? And, you know, some of them are. Some of the students are quite responsible. Let's not target them all as irresponsible young students who just go there to live it up and live it large, because that's not actually
I'm fascinated if things have actually changed, Larry, because I keep being told that certain things like initiation ceremonies are different, and they are more prevalent than they used to be. I didn't join any society, so I didn't go to any initiation ceremonies.
Well, neither did I, because actually I did fashion, and you have to work 9 to 5 if you do fashion, so I didn't get...
Must have been awful.
So I didn't get a chance to go into any of that stuff. I didn't get the 1 hour a week, you know, schedule that other people get. The concern I have with 3 children is what will happen by the time they get to university, and what if it's your child is the one who dies in the initiation ceremony? I mean, yes, of course, you have to let your children go, and you want them to go and let their hair down. They've done probably their A-levels. They may have had a gap year. You want them to go and experience life, but I know somebody whose best friend was sitting in a first floor on a windowsill and fell backwards at a party and broke their back and ended up in a wheelchair. And it's that kind of thing that is really scary. So I think somehow you've got, I don't know how, but you somehow got to keep them safe while letting them...
black mark against
no, I had an
future doctors'
incredibly
names,
messy room, and I got told off for that, but no, absolutely not, ridiculous.
So you did get told off?
I did, because the cleaner reported me because she couldn't come and clean because I had bits of coloured paper all over the wall. I've been cutting, doing pictures. You know.
Sounds incredibly taxing intellectually. Really. Did you have round-edged scissors, or did they play you with the pointy ones? Rosie, do you think things are changing at university? That maybe because we live in such a pressured world that by the time
I have to say, I think I'm with Stephen. I think you should leave them alone, and I think things happen to people. You know, people do have awful accidents, like what Laurie says. People get killed in cars. I mean, things happen, and you have to live. And actually, the world is so pressured now and so competitive, and that and on the whole, all the university students I know, certainly my daughter's not long been out of university, they work much, much, much harder than we ever
That's
worked.
what my professor said as
really
well.
much harder. I mean, they're working all night, they're really under pressure. Their first year is probably the only year they spent any time having parties, and then they really buckle down. And I think kind of lay off them. I mean, there's tough times ahead. I mean, it was easier all those years ago to get jobs, to not be quite so...
Have a grant, for starters.
Have a grant, I mean, not come out with this great big debt saddled around you, and that, you know, it's probably your only freedom time, relative freedom time, and you should enjoy it. And yes, you take a chance, but I mean, it's like health and safety rules that say kids can't go walking in Cumbria or something because they might fall in a stream. I mean, we're actually producing an immense amount of damage through all this kind of control, and then when people go and do it, it ends up being much more drastic than just saying, OK, it's fine. You know, dirty room, get pissed, well, hey, you know, on you go. And they'll probably pass their exams anyway.
Doctors, medical students, what do you think about them? Because the GMC seems to be singling
Well, I
them
think that's
out.
absurd. I mean, I can't believe they're going to put you down if having a messy room and somehow that's going to stop you being a consultant 20 years later. I can't be a gynecologist because I had a messy room.
Messy. Actually, that's probably one area of medicine where it's hard to see one sign, it's a bit messy. Yes.
But in my experience, medical students have got the most amazing sense of humour, just purely based on the subject matter they're dealing with. So they need a kind of release anyway.
Med students work harder than any other
They were
students.
the ones pushing the bed down the... They were always the most
doing
heavy...
good work. That was raising money.
Because there were lots of awful lot of public school boys were doing medicine when I was back that age, because they were the ones who were the kind of the fantastic education to get into the right medical schools, and then they'd been closeted with other boys, and then they were complete... Well, I won't use the word we use for them, but they were always the idiots, the most drunk,
Did it
doing
rhyme
the
with
most
bankers?
silly. Yes, it does.
Yes, I thought it did. Just on the question of pressure, I mean, you know, we're kind of sort of saying pressure, it's OK to relieve pressure through drinking. Is that... I mean, is there not a danger that we start to set a kind of life trend? Is that maybe what the GMC is thinking about?
Well, possibly they are, and you can see that that's not such a great idea, but to relieve pressure through games and hijinks and pranks and dressing up and pushing your bed down the street, if that's what floats your boat, so to speak. I mean, I'm all for that, because when else are you going to do it?
Good point. Let's throw it open to you. It'd be great to hear from some students on this, whether things are going too far. As I said, I'm very interested in initiations.
Is it too early?
Could be. Let's throw it open to you, Kirsty.
First we have Ali, and he's on line 3.
Ali, good morning.
Good morning.
So it's all fun and games?
Yeah, but it can be taken too far.
In what sense?
Well, I had a friend that was in an initiation thing for Freshers Week,
Right.
and she ended up in hospital.
Tell me, because as I said, I mean, I'd never heard of initiation ceremonies when I was at university. I mean, it was only 20 years ago, and never heard of them. So, what did this involve? An initiation ceremony to join what?
I think it was a sorority girly thing. I don't know. I wasn't
Right.
really caring about it myself.
And what happened to her, the friend?
She inhaled something and passed out and had to be taken to first aid by accident emergency.
Something she's probably learnt from, wouldn't do again, been educated, positive thing.
Well, she refuses to go out on her own now, so
Okay.
like out partying and that.
But do you not think that, you can always pick out the examples. As Stephen said, OK, so you've had 3 students die from alcohol in 5 years. I mean, how many people who aren't students have died as a result of drinking in the last 5 years, young people? I would imagine it's considerably more.
Yeah, but they take it too far in other senses as well. Like, you're saying about the pressure of it and everything.
Yeah.
I've had friends that have broken down in tears and that because, you know, they're trying to party all the time, but they can't do the work and everything.
Oh,
I mean,
it's such a sad
it's
story.
better to take it and party a little bit and have a good time, but
Yeah.
not too far.
Do you think there's a reason why that they're going too far? That, I mean, maybe they're not used to being on their own. They're not used to having the freedom without parents going, oh, you shouldn't do this, and you need to be in by then, and they're just testing the water, finding a little about...
Yeah, no, that's what I did, but I kind of regret it because I failed some of my subjects for doing it.
I think you just need to get the balance right, because you're making it sound that, like, all young, new students are just rowdy tearaways.
I'm not, he is.
Well, exactly, he is, and I think you're wrong, because when I was at university, we didn't have this culture of initiation. I think it's kind of a new American thing. We didn't have that. I remember going out and joining little other groups and meeting
What
new
groups
people.
did you join?
The Drama Society, I joined the Legal Society, and I joined the Good Looking Society. There was the one member.
We had a wonderful one called She He, which was the Anti-Sexism Society, which I thought was fantastic. A great way to spend 3 years. Didn't join, though. Thank you for that call, Ali. Let's have another, please.
Marcus, and he's online too.
Marcus, good morning.
Hi there, Matt. How you doing?
I'm all right. Do students need to be brought under control?
Okay, yeah, I think there's a jealousy, there's a bitterness, and there's a victimization on students, you know?
Yeah.
We're there for 3 years. It's a learning curve. And, you know, as you know, we are meeting new people, and I don't know what's wrong with it, to be honest. We are the future doctors, we are the future politicians, we are the future, you know, people that are going to be running the country, and we should be able to, you know, have these few years, and we're going to have a good time. And, you know, before we go into the rat race, before we go into the world of work.
It's real. I mean, you think... you only have to read Barack Obama's book to realise, you know, he was doing drugs and stuff like that, and he's ended up probably the most popular president of all time.
If and when I get to the stage when my kids are at university, and I will be the one presumably having to put them through university with, they better work damn hard, because if they, because I will be counting that's money that I've earned that you are now spending. It's not just a 3-year jolly. They've got to actually have some responsibility.
They work really hard. I mean, my daughter worked a hell of a lot harder than any of us did. And I think they deserve all the fun they have.
OK. Marcus, thank you for that. I want to go to our audience, please.
OK, I have a few people here. So, first of all, Simon, as a teacher, what do you think of this?
Well, there's been a lot of laughter about this, and I think we all support the idea that when you're a student, you have a good time, you haven't got familial responsibilities, and that's great. But there is a serious side to this, and it's getting worse. The number of alumni have spoken to me, old boys and girls at my school, who've given up sport, and I say that's a shame, because you were really good at sport. I can't stand the initiation ceremony. I'm frightened. The humiliation, the things that go on. It's come over from America, and it's getting worse. So we all support what you've said. Of course students should have a great time. When you're young, that's the time to really let your hair down.
So you're saying that initiation ceremonies are on the increase?
They're on the increase, and they're getting totally out of hand. And when I've got 6'3" rugby players saying to me...
These are grown men who stick their heads between other men's bottoms and their hands up around their crutches for fun, and then complain about the initiation ceremonies?
Well, I heard of one thing that we had in the Lions match on Saturday.
What do they make them do?
Of eye gouging. OK, we'll talk about this. And one boy said to me that they have to get used to being their eyes being gouged in a rugby match. Therefore, he had to lay back, and people were poking fingers into his eyes as part of the initiation ceremony. They've got it completely out of hand. It is, you know, for us to laugh about these things, but there is a darker side, and we need to address it.
Can I just say that I don't think any member of the panel is suggesting that that kind of behaviour at initiation ceremony is a good thing. If there is indeed an increase, we should be targeting these sports initiation ceremonies. But I think, generally speaking, your first year in university, initiation ceremonies aside, should be fun and exciting.
And getting drunk to the point you're lying in the pavement.
You've got to be responsible. Of course you shouldn't get drunk and lie on the pavement every day. We're not suggesting that.
But that didn't happen 20 years ago.
Hopefully people do that once and then realise it makes you feel so awful you don't do it again.
25 years ago, with the regularity that goes on, with people being strewn or being taken to hospital, having their stomachs bugged.
OK, all right, Simon. And the lady next to you, because I'll be a student.
Vicky, so you're a student at the moment, aren't you?
I am, yes. I actually agree with Stephen, yeah. I think the first year maybe go a little bit wild, but not to the extent that it has been happening.
Have you been shocked by anything that you've experienced at uni, or not?
Well, I was in a lecture one morning, it was about 10 o'clock, and I heard somebody run off and throw up in a bin outside, which was quite shocking, I think.
Yeah, it wasn't the lecturer, though.
No, it wasn't.
I just wanted to check.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and I thought that was quite shocking, and, you know, I mean, they are adults. I know they're young, but they are adults. I'm a mature student, so you know. But yeah, maybe cut loose in your first year, but not too much.
OK, interesting. I am fascinated by the initiation ceremony thing, because it strikes me as relatively, well, not relatively new, it's just that more prevalent than it used to be. Kirsty, let's have another, please.
Pete on line 4.
Morning, Pete.
Good morning.
Hi there. So are students being unfairly bashed here, do you think?
Well, it's very easy nowadays to bash students. There seems to be a disconnect between the public and the student body. I had the enormous privilege of serving as a student governor for the University of the West of England.
OK.
And one of the things that is quite noticeable about the last 20 years of student life is the change in the expectations upon the students and the expectations that the rest of the world have of them. We're talking about a generation of people who are having to find upwards of £20,000 of their own money just to step foot on the campus.
This is what my professor, my old professor, said to me, that students today are much more serious, much more focused about work because they've got a financial interest.
There's an enormous financial commitment, and the demographic of student that's entering the campus nowadays is very, very different.
Then tell me this, Pete, is there a correlation? Because it's quite possible that when you increase pressure on people, the release mechanism is going to be that bit more outrageous, that bit more shocking, and that perhaps people are releasing pressure, getting too drunk, too extreme?
Well, I think if you want to look at the very few opportunities that there are to release pressure, one of the best places to do so is YouTube. In Bristol, we had an unprecedented day where the city was stopped by snow. And if you go onto YouTube and type in the words UWE snow day, you'll see the creative genius of Don Passfield at the UE Student Union, who captured the mood of the day and what students got up to when they didn't
Lots
have
of
to go
lines of
to
Coke?
lectures.
No, wrong kind of snow.
And snow and ice, yes, not the stuff you put up.
OK, that's all I wanted to check.
And captured the mood of the student body quite well, and the creativity and the diversity and the means of expression, that when they're not under the pressure of having every single thing they do scrutinised, everything they do for 3 years marked, assessed continuously towards a degree classification that even if they get a double first, as I did, does not give them any opportunity to actually guarantee a job. If you look, at Edinburgh, Glasgow, the call centres there, 3/4 of the call centre jobs in those cities are held by graduates. It's just the same way as they are in Mumbai or Delhi.
Absolutely. Pete, I've got to cut you. We're going to take a break. Thank you much, and fair comment to you as well.